that you want to annotate. Yeah. Sorry, I'm. What do you mean?
Yeah, fine. Orange Word format, Microsoft Word. Yes. But the LLMs I was using wouldn't accept. Then you were convert. Is that what we do? Very quickly. Yeah, I just copied all the text and pasted. Pasted it where? Pasted it as a checkbox. Okay. Yeah, so you split the text, yeah, stretch place the file. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I don't send it. I was. And they were going to take 3 files. Yeah, it's not to the sense. Yeah. Yeah. Some would be the end for them to so on. Yeah. To register on your. Yes, I can't register. It keeps saying it's the name, it's when it stops. It's from a, it's a, yeah, some company at blockage. Yeah. When I go along, trying to. Yeah, yes. I can do that's so. So we need this. But tomorrow, yes, because we're going to view an AI interviewer. Okay.
Okay, great. Then before we take a break, I would like to introduce you the theory first, because this is a very important one and it's super useful for you. So again, let's review a little bit, the traditional way of automatic content analysis. So the first level is still dictionary. So rule-based, right? So you have the Rook, right? Probably some of you already use Rook. So it's a very famous dictionary. So you use count per preset words, but it's context blind. That means it doesn't understand the context. For example, you say, I'm really happy, right? So you're trying to be ironic, but it doesn't understand the context. So it really think you are happy, okay? The second one is unsupervised machine learning. We already talked about LDA and NNF. And supervised machine learning, which, for example, support vector machine, random forest, naive Bayes, etc. So you need to have a large training set to be able to train the machine learning model to understand how to classify. So you need to build a classifier to be able to do this kind of annotation job. And now you have the fine-tuned transformer, for example, BERT, Robert, DeepBERT, etc. Right? So they are cheap at scale and they're open source, so everybody can use it. But you need to be able to fine-tune it, and it is also sometimes the performance is not very, very nice. So that's why we reach to the best option is generative, pre-trained generative large language model. Okay, so you don't need to train it and it explain itself as well, but you need to build a good prompt. You need to validate yourself, and you also need to watch the cost because it's not free unless you use a local model. So we are going to introduce you 2 different ways. One is to pay OpenAI, pay Gemini, and then you use the API and use the API to analyze your data. Or we use a local model. Okay, we download the local model and analyze using the local model. So I will show you the different option, and you can decide yourself which one you want to use in your future. It depends on your cost, your budget. It depends on whether your data is sensitive or not. So a lot of different factors. Okay, and here is when to use BERT, when to use large language model. So I'm not going to repeat it here, but I will suggest you, at this moment, GPT, Claude, Llama, this kind of model, they perform really, really well in terms of annotation. So for BERT, it's not quite relevant at this moment because you need to have a label training set to be able to do it. And if you don't have it, then I would recommend you to use a pre-trained model. So pre-trained model means that the company already trained the model for you. You don't need to train the model yourself. Okay. Okay, so here is recent advances in large language model text analytics. Again, there's so many studies coming out. Okay, large language model match or beat cloud workers at annotation. So this is a paper published at PNAS, or this kind of using large language model to do annotation work across different languages and constructs. Okay, so if you want to process Chinese, French, English at one time, before you need to all translate it into one language, right? But now you can do it at the same time. So you don't need to do the translation anymore because it understands the language difference. Validate for perceptual, semantic coding, etc. So these are all, again, all the literature you can use if you want to argue with your reviewer, if you want to justify the use of a large language model to do the annotation. Okay, like here is a screenshot. Okay, so the pipeline, what should we do first, second, and third? First, we need to, of course, this is the most rigorous one. So the one I introduced is the most rigorous one, but you still need to decide whether your work is really, really important or you need to be so rigorous or not. Okay, so the first approach is that you need to hand code a sample. It can be 100. If you have a tweet data of 10,000, you can hand code a sample of 100, for example. So hand code means that you use human, for example, your research assistant, to code it yourself. Okay, this tweet is positive, this tweet is negative, this tweet is talk about sustainability, this tweet is talk about this. So based on your criteria, you need to do it yourself. Okay. And then you leave it there. And then you can start to analyze your data. Okay, you draft the prompt, define the label, decision rule, and then tune the prompt, revise the prompt again and again. Okay, and then you compare the result from the large language model against your human evaluated result to see the F1 score. So how reliable, how consistent across the large language model evaluation and your human evaluation. If they have some intercoder reliability around like maybe 70%, 80%, then you are confident that, okay, they perform quite similar to each other. Then you can apply this same prompt for your whole scale, for your whole sample. Okay, so that's how we do it in a very reliable way, because you have human coded one versus machine coded one. But of course, you can also do it a different way. For example, you can have one large language model code the data, another large language model code the data, and then you compare. This is also considered to be valid as well. So there is no human involved, but because you use two models, so the result is quite reliable. Because sometimes human actually perform worse than the large language model because we get tired, right? Or maybe the research assistant is not proper trained, right? So that's also possible. It doesn't mean, okay, human is always the right in terms of annotation. Okay, so let's do it together. So I already upload the data set for everyone. So now you can go to our learning platform. Okay, and you go to the Starbucks comment. So we are going to do this exercise together. So again, this exercise is a little bit challenging because it require you to know some coding knowledge, but I will try to make it easier, and I will also propose you some easier way to do this analysis. Okay, so upon download it, then you should take a look of the data set. Okay, so this is the data set. Okay, you can take a look of the data set. You can see there is the first column, which is comment. So these are all the comments from consumers towards Starbucks. Whether they're happy about Starbucks, whether they're not happy about Starbucks. So maybe your research question can be, what do people think about Starbucks? Okay, positive or negative? Okay, or what kind of comment people are talking about? Or what kind of, when they talk about Starbucks, what are they talking about, right? So this probably will be something you are interested in. So let's make it simple. We just want to annotate whether the sentiment is positive or negative. So whether they're positive about Starbucks or negative about Starbucks. So the most easy way is that you go through each comment, you read it, and then you say, oh, okay, this is positive. But now we have like 18 comments. It's easy. Imagine if you have 18,000 comments, then you cannot do it by human, right? So that's why we are going to use large language model to help us to determine whether this entry, this text is positive or negative.
How do people think about Starbucks? Just this, or it's
no, you need to say, okay, you need to give much better prompt. So you need to, for annotation, the prompt is really important. You need to define what is positive sentiment, negative sentiment, and you need to also determine the output. Okay, sometimes you ask it to, classify this entry as positive or negative, but then the large language model will say, okay, I don't know. Yeah, then, but you don't want this, I don't know there, okay? You just want to have positive, negative, or neutral. Then you need to give, okay, only return positive, negative, or neutral. So you need to really define your prompt very, very well. That's why we start a small sample, and if it works, then we can, scale it up to a large sample. Okay, so I want to show you the easiest way first. The easiest way, if you have Excel with Copilot, or if you have Gemini in your Google Sheet, the easiest way is that you just upload it to Google Sheet. But you need to have Gemini. You need to pay for Gemini, okay? So I have Google Sheet here, and I just need to upload this file. I just copy, okay? Easier to copy. Okay, I have all. How can I make it? I want to wrap it. How can I wrap it? Okay.
If you go format on the top, they will be wrapped. Yeah, format, yes. And then wrapping.
Wrapping. Okay. Wrap.
And wrap. Next one.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so now in your Google Sheet, I can create a sentiment. So I can use a formula. So if you have Copilot in your Excel, you can also do the same. Okay, so for Google Sheet, it's AI. And now you need to give the prompt. Okay, the prompt will be determine this comment whether it is positive, negative, or neutral. only return one of these words. Okay, so that can be the prompt, but this is a very bad prompt. Okay, I did not keep any definition, etc. I just want to show it to you how it works. And then you select this range. Okay, and then you click enter. Then AI is generating positive. Okay, you drag it all the way. If you have 200, drag 200, generating at one time, positive, 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 negative, 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 all at one time. So that's how you do it. You can also change it to other one. You can be emotion. Okay. So you can also change it to emotion. Yeah, Copilot as well. But you need to, your company need to, or your organization need to pay for the a more advanced license. Integrate Copilot in your Excel. Okay, if in your Excel you did not see the Copilot function there, then your company did not pay for it. Yeah, it's also possible. If you have Claude in your Excel, it's also possible to do this. Okay, so I will do this. Tell me which emotion this post had. You see, again, it's very bad prompt, but it just show you how do I do it. Yeah, and then I need to select the prompt, select the range. Oh, no, it's not. It should be this one. Yes. Yeah, gratitude, right? And then we drag it all the way. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Frustration, disgust, disappointment, frustration, dissatisfaction. So you can see, because it's an open prompt, I just asked it to come up with an emotion there, right? So maybe dissatisfaction is very similar to frustration. So you want to merge these two categories together. Then you can only, okay, ask it. You need to keep a category for it to select, right? So that's a good prompt. So the prompt that I'm showing now is actually not a good prompt. So that's the first way to do text annotation. But this is not a very rigorous way because we don't know which model we are using. So it's, yeah. It's based on this comment. Based on, because I select this comment as the one I want to analyze, right? So for example, if you see this, right? So I give this prompt and then I select A2. So A2 is this cell. So it only read this A2 cell and then determine whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah, that's it. So with our size the platform, would it be commenting on our text that we put silence, or will it be inside based on the text or set digital?
I don't understand your questions.
Size. Yes, when you sign, you are signing. And then when these comments comes, that's it. That comment is it based on a citation or context? That comment. Context. Context. There is no citation.
This is pure comment from consumer towards Starbucks. It's not a paper, or it's not. Yeah, it's just some opinion comments about Starbucks. Okay, so that's the first way. And also you cannot do, if you have like 10,000 of tweets, it's also very difficult, to drag everything, and you always need to wait for a long time for it to process. So it's only possible when you want to make it very quick, and it's more like, okay, you focus on the result, but not focus on the process. So this method is suitable when you have this, when you are in this situation. And if you want to analyze the text data in a very rigorous way, then you need to build your own pipeline. Okay, you need to build your own code. So how we do it? So I offer you several ways to do it. The first one is OpenAI API. Use OpenAI API to analyze text data. Use small LM, a local model, to analyze text data, or use Gemini to analyze the text data. So both are fine. So let's start with maybe use small LM, because sometimes you want to have a local model, you don't want to pay for it. So what about using a local model? Okay, so here, if you click on this link, then you will be directed to a Google Colab platform. So Google Colab is a little bit like it's a little bit like RStudio or Jupyter Notebook. So it's a kind of a development interface for you to interact with a certain language like Python or R. Okay, so you can sit here, quick start to run small LLM on Google Colab. So first you need to install this package called Transformer. So you just need to click on it and then install it. Meanwhile, we can upload the data set there. Okay, so we have the data set here. So here, right? So now the name is very messy. So let's change the name to make it easier to process. Okay, let's call it Starbucks comment. Okay, so I can upload the data set here. So you just drag it. Yeah, you drag it here. And then your data set will be uploaded there. Okay. So I want to show you first, and then you can do it yourself. And then you click, actually basically click every button here. So, but it gives you very detailed note about every step. So now after download the model, now you load dependency. Okay. And then, so now the first is to install the package, which is called Transformer. And now after you load the dependency, we need to download the model. So which is we use the model called small LM, and it's only 360 megabit. So it's a very small model, okay? Very easy to use. So let's download it. So it's now download from Hugging Face, download the model there. Okay, it's quite quick. It's finished. You are running everything actually in the cloud. So it's not running in your own computer. It's in the cloud, so it's actually quite fast. Okay, and now you see here, we can prepare the input. You can change the prompt here. You see here, I give a prompt. You have a very friendly chatbot which always responds in the style of a researcher. And then you can also ask a question, what is self-dehumanization or what is dehumanization, to test whether it works or not. Okay, so here is just to test. You can change this question to any question you want, and then you run it to check whether it works. And then you generate. Now is the time to see whether it works or not. Okay, it says dehumanization is a complex and often subtle concept, but in the context of social interaction and human. Okay, so it works. Okay, so it's a really a model. You download it there. It's for free, but it works quite well for this question. Okay, and take a look here. The temperature, we set it at 0.7, right? Top K, top P, so it's quite okay, this setting. But if you want to make it more conservative, you can check set the temperature to be even lower. Okay, and now since it works, so we can start to analyze our data. So here you see the data is already, we changed the name here already, Starbucks common.xl sx. Okay, so that is the file that we have. So pay attention here, we have a small underscore, so probably I need to add underscore here as well. You need to make sure that the title fit, the name of the file is exactly the same. If you have another file, then you need to change the file here, the name here, okay? Okay. And then we create a Starbucks result.csv file. And here we ask a question, what is the emotion expressed in this text? So that is the key prompt that we have. You can also change it to, let's keep it like this, okay? We can also change it to determine this comment whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. So it depends on your research topic. You can also talk about determine what is the topic, or determine what is the location, determine what is the weather there, etc. Depends on your research question. Okay, so that's it. Let's run it together to see the result. See here, it's running, it's running, it's running. Okay, it's finished. Now let's take a look at the result. I will not show, I can download this file because this file is created, created, and then you can download it and then you can open it. So this is the result, okay? You see, the emotion expressed in this text is warm and welcoming. The author appreciate the warmth. So it is really long, right? It's not structured. It's not format. It's not something we want because the prompt we get is very open. Of course, then the result is very open, right? So it is not, it's not the fault of this model. It's because the prompt we use is very bad. Okay, so now we need to revise the prompt. We want to keep it close. We don't want it to be too open. Okay, so of course, then you cannot use this prompt. You need to say, okay, determine whether this comment is positive, negative, or neutral. Only return one of this word. Okay, now it's more close, right? They can only select positive, negative, and neutral. But of course, this is not yet a super good prompt because we did not define what is positive, what is negative. But let's try it already to see whether it is better. So again, you always need to try the first. That's why it's always nice to start with a small sample because you can try it many times as you want, and you can see which result is better. Okay, let's download it again. I already can see the result. Very funny. Okay, it's better, a little bit better. It's still not yet 100% the best, right? Positive, give you a strange sign. Positive, positive, I'm on this kick of drinking 5 cups of warm water. Negative, neutral, neutral. So it is not yet best, but it's already much, much better. The reason is because this model is for free. It's very small. It's only 360 megabits, right? And of course, the result, if you can get this result, is already considered to be quite good. You cannot compare it to OpenAI, compare it to Claude, right? Because they are much more advanced than this model. This is a super small model. It's just for demonstration. Okay, for simple tasks, it's very okay to use this kind of small model. Okay, but of course, if you want to use GPT, okay, what can you do? Then you can use this link. Use OpenAI API to analyze text data. Okay, then it's exactly the same thing. You install some library, but you need to insert your API key here. You need to get your API key from OpenAI and then insert your API key here. Okay, so how to get an API key? So you can go to OpenAI and click API. So you search OpenAI and API. Okay, and then you will get. Okay, I need to have the. So meanwhile, you can export it yourself. Okay, so you will go to this API. See, here is my usage. You can see everything here. Okay, I use already 111 euro the past 30 days because I use it on my platform as well. So normally it's very cheap to analyze this thing. Okay, because it doesn't consume a lot of token. Okay, so you go to API key, and then you can create a new API key. Okay, give a name, and then you can create. But never share your API key to anyone because it's actually the combination of your account and password. If people have your API key, they can consume. If you have money there, they can consume it. Okay, so be careful to organize your API key very well. Once you obtain your API key, then you can paste it into here, and then you can do the analysis. And after the analysis, you delete your API key again. Okay. So it will be similar as the one we have mentioned. And then I also give you another possibility of using Gemini. So you can also get an API key from AI Studio. You can paste it there, and then you can do the analysis as well. Okay, so but QualiTaTi also offer this kind of tool. It's called annotator, and it's really easy to use. Again, you can just drag our, drag the comment there, choose the file, and then start by comment. Okay, import the file there, and then you select which token you want to annotate. Okay, which column is comment, right? Then you click next. Then you need to give a name. Okay, I can call it sentiment. I give a category. The first category is positive. Okay. The second category is negative. The third category is neutral. And then you give the definition, okay, determine the sentiment of this comment. Okay, that's it. Very simple. You can also define what is positive, what is negative, and what is neutral. But the model we use here is very advanced, so you don't need to keep, they should be able to understand. And now you can determine whether you want to use OpenAI. Okay, you can choose which model you want to use from OpenAI. Normally, you just need to use Nano. It's the cheapest one, and it's already quite sufficient for doing this kind of simple task. You can also want to compare with Anthropic. You also want to compare it with Google Gemini, so you can select all of them, and then you just need to run the analysis. Okay, and it only costs 1 credit, so super cheap, right? And now you can see here is the result. All agree. So the consistency is 100%. That means all the 3 models get the same result. Exactly. Your flies K is also very high. Your Quipendorf R is also alpha is also very high. It's exactly the same. So that means all the models agree with each other. So eventually you can download the Excel file and then you can see the result. Okay. You can sit here. Okay. GPT positive, positive, positive. This comment positive, 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 positive. But here, wait, why it's not working? Anthropic did not return an answer here. That's strange. But all the determining they make is exactly the same. So if you compare the first one and the last one, is exactly the same. Okay, but here there is no comment. Probably is. Let me try again. No, it's something wrong. Let me try with another model. Okay, maybe you can do it yourself. Choose another model from Claude and see if it fixes. Okay, I'll give you, let's take a break, and I will also give you some time to do this exercise.
So how long a break will be?
So let's make it 10 minutes plus the exercise, which will be, oh yeah, we don't reach the exercise yet, right? Okay, 10 minutes. Let's do it 10 minutes.
Good. Thank you. So online participant, please come back in 10 minutes time. Thank you.